This is Betsy Jensen, and you are listening to Unstoppable Body and Mind, episode 36, The Power of Questions. In this podcast, we learn to upgrade our brain and understand the power of our thoughts, to heal and to create the results we want in our life. Become the person in control of your healing and make peace with your life. Become unstoppable, body and mind. Hello, my friends. Today we're going to talk about the power of questions. But first, I want to tell you about an exciting promotion that I'm doing for my podcast listeners. As you know, each week I ask you to submit a review and a rating on iTunes so that this podcast can be found by more people. I started this podcast in January 2020, and as of now, I have 2,115 downloads, which is awesome. Thanks, you guys, for listening. It really means a lot to me. I do put a lot of work into these episodes, so I'm glad to know that people are listening. But as of now, I only have 16 ratings, and I would love to get to 100. So I'm going to give a $100 Amazon gift card to one lucky listener who gives my podcast a rating or review when I get to 100. I have a link in the show notes that will take you to where you can submit a review and a rating. So just take a screenshot. If you do a rating, it only takes a few seconds to give it a 5-star rating, and send it to me at info@bodyandmindlifecoach.com. That will also be in the show notes, and you'll be entered in the drawing. You can also receive additional entries if you give it a review. So just send me a screenshot of that. Or if you follow me on Instagram, and just again, email me and let me know that you're following me on Instagram. The handle there is Body and Mind Life Coach. So when you have done one or all three of these things, you will be entered into the drawing for a $100 Amazon gift card. If you have already submitted a rating or review or follow me on Instagram, then email me and let me know so I can count your entries. This is going to be super fun. I'm excited to put this together for you to show my appreciation to you for taking the time to listen and hopefully to start getting this podcast out to more people who need it. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the power of questions. Asking yourself good questions every day is one of the best ways to uplevel your brain and get it working for you. We have 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day, and up to 95% of them are subconscious. So our brain is just running like this computer, running programs in the background, and it's so efficient. Many of these thoughts happen without us even being aware that we're thinking of them. I think of all the programs running in the background of the computer, and the things we're aware of are the things we actually see on the computer screen. But the rest the brain does in the background, and it does this to keep things efficient for us. It's trying to keep the majority of the thinking that we have just running in the background so that we can focus on other things. Most of the programs that we're running were formed in our childhood, and we've never really taken the time to think them out or to question them. We're basically on autopilot most of the time. But our brain also has the power to generate new thoughts and ideas. We just have to ask it. When we don't ask it good questions, it just keeps running and processing things just as before. But when we ask our brain helpful, interesting questions, our brain will go to work for us, figuring out the answers and offering us ideas and solutions we never would have thought possible if we weren't specifically focusing in that way. Now let's start by recognizing that not all of the questions we ask ourselves are helpful questions. There are some questions we can ask that will help us progress and some that will keep us stuck. The types of questions that tend to keep us stuck might be the questions we already ask ourselves, like, why is this happening to me? Will I have to live with pain forever? Why can't I make progress? Why do I struggle so much? How much longer is this going to take? Why is this so hard? These questions are not helpful because they're already presupposing something negative. So when you ask the brain a question, it will also come up with reasons for you that are also negative. So if you ask, why do I struggle so much? Your brain might come up with, because you're weak, or you don't care enough, or this is too hard, or you can't do it. So we don't want to ask ourselves negative questions because then we come up with more negative answers. But think of your brain as this powerful tool because that's what it is. It has the capacity to think creatively and to get to work doing this for us if we ask it the right questions. Instead of asking, why do I struggle so much? You could ask yourself, how can I make today better than yesterday? What a difference. When you ask how you can make today better than yesterday, then your brain will start coming up with reasons and answers for you of positive things you can do, shifting your focus out of the negative. Now, most of us are in the habit of answering our questions with, I don't know. This answer may feel like it's the truth, it may just feel like a fact, but this answer is unacceptable. Resist saying that to yourself. When you catch yourself thinking, I don't know, then ask yourself, what if I did know? The problem with saying, I don't know, is that it keeps us stuck. It shuts down our brain from coming up with answers for us. It blocks us from our inner wisdom. This is the same with I'm confused or I can't decide. If these answers come up for you, then keep asking. Instead of saying I don't know or I'm confused, say I'm learning or I'm figuring it out. These changes are subtle, but these small changes are what we need to make to rewire our brains, to get out of the default mode, to recognize our programming, and to choose on purpose if we want to continue to think in ways that keep us stuck and that don't create the results we want. I suggest asking yourself a powerful question every day. I find it helpful to journal about it. Whether it's writing it manually or typing it, just put down whatever comes to mind and keep writing until you have some answers. If you're new to thought work, you may just start by asking yourself the question, what am I thinking? So much of what goes on in our brain is automatic and automated. A lot of the time, we don't even realize the thoughts or beliefs that we already have. Now, a word of caution, this can be pretty negative, and I want to tell you this because it's normal. Remember the negativity bias that I talk about with our brains? Our unexamined mind is full of negative thoughts and beliefs about the people around us, our situations, and especially about ourselves. And remember, these thoughts cause feelings. So having all of these negative thoughts unexamined in our head will lead us to have negative feelings and negative physical consequences to our bodies like chronic pain and disease. I remember when I first started putting all of my thoughts on paper, I felt so much shame and I felt like I was weak and I felt like I was doing it wrong and I should know better. And I thought, this is why I feel so horrible all of the time. So just know that this process can be revealing, but it's just showing you where you're starting. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person for having a lot of negative thoughts. It's showing you just the default setting of your brain. And I'm sure it is negative because that's how all of our brains are. What am I feeling is also a really good question. Most of the time, we don't really know what we're feeling. But tuning into our feelings frequently can help us in understanding what's going on in our bodies. Feelings or emotions are vibrations in our bodies, and certain feelings are usually felt in similar places in our bodies. Like anger might be felt in the chest and arms and in the throat. Sadness may be felt in the pit of the stomach or in the throat or face. Anxiety is often felt in the stomach, which was huge for me personally to realize because of my autoimmune disorder, ulcerative colitis. I realized how much of my symptoms were linked to stress I was putting on myself and my anxious mind and the way I was thinking about myself, especially negatively. So when you ask yourself what you're feeling, you can also ask where you feel it in your body and what the sensation feels like. The more you can describe the sensations neutrally without panic or fear, you'll actually be rewiring your brain to create less pain. When we focus on pain and how bad it is, it's called pain catastrophizing, which we know from neuroscience actually primes the brain to be more sensitive to pain and devotes a larger portion of your brain to creating pain in your body. I take you through this process in meditation in episode 26 if you want to go through processing your pain naturally. But tuning into your thoughts and feelings and sensations in your body is the best first place to start. I'm going to list some more powerful questions that you might think to ask yourself each day. They'll be in my show notes, so you don't have to worry about writing them down if you can't at the moment. What am I grateful for? How can I honor my body today? What can I do to laugh a lot today? How can I have more fun today? How can I take time for myself today? How can I make myself a priority so I have more to give others? What do I love about myself? What are my strengths? How can I become more connected to my internal joy? How can I make choices that benefit me and everyone around me at the same time? How do I feel in the flow? How can I have more inspiration today? How can I be more present today? How can I show more love to myself? How can I be more patient with myself and others? How can I live my best life? Try this. It's amazing how much your brain will help you if you ask. I've talked a lot about asking throughout the day, what is the next right thing to do? Each time you ask yourself something and listen for the response, you develop a stronger connection with yourself and you'll become more connected with your body and what it is telling you. Don't worry if you're starting with lots of confusion. You may struggle at first to get any answers, but they will come if you keep practicing. Don't indulge in the confusion and doubt. Just keep asking. You may start by just hearing a whisper or feeling a small nudge, but the more you practice, the better you'll get at responding to what's going on with your body, which will be so helpful for healing if you have chronic pain or disease. I've done a lot of work with babies as a physical therapist, and one of the main tools for communication when children are very young and just learning to speak or maybe don't even have any words yet is to ask them questions. You can present the baby with a toy and a cracker and say, which one do you want? And see which one they look to or reach for. Do you want the red bib or the blue bib? And give them a chance to answer. If you just do all of these things for them, the baby will not try to communicate with you. It doesn't see the point or the value of trying to communicate if you're just making all of the choices for it. But when you start asking and responding to what it wants, then the baby learns that communication is important and has a purpose. I think our brain and our body is the same way. We have to keep asking questions and giving it a chance to answer. The more we do this, the more trust we will have that we can find the answers within. So please give this a try this week. Let your brain stew on a great question each day. I think you may be surprised with the wisdom and solutions your brain will come up with for you if you open that door to communication and give it a chance to work for you. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you learned a little bit about your brain today that helps you in your life like it helped me. Please be sure and subscribe and leave a review. And of course, be sure and share this podcast with someone you know that wants an unstoppable body and mind.